Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Chatting Pitch. I am Leslie.
Hi, I am Matthew D. Smith, and I have to say, Leslie, out of the two films that we are talking about today, I really think that Richard Linklater and Glenn Powell have made a real hit, man. Cue the jingle.
That's really where we're going to cue the jingle.
Okay.
Perfect. How long have you been sitting on that one for?
About 10 minutes before the end of Hitman.
Well, so we both watched two movies that came out relatively close to each other, and one of them is Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, and the other one is Hitman, a Mad Max Saga. Yeah. So, what did you think? Which one do you want to talk about first? Do you want to talk about Furiosa because you watched that one before, or do you want to talk about Hitman because you literally watched it? What?
I've literally just finished watching it. If I had left it on the screen, the credits would still be playing.
Okay.
Yeah, we can talk about Hitman.
Are you a fan of Richard Linklater's movies?
I can't say I've actually seen enough to say if I'm a fan.
I've seen a couple. Actually, more than a couple. I've seen A Scanner Darkly, which I didn't know what that was all about, but I liked it. Was pretty to look at.
I don't know what it was, but I liked it.
I watched it when I was quite young, so I don't think my mind had fully developed into...
Was it before or after your dad made you watch Aliens?
Was it
Alien? Was it Alien?
It was after. Well, Aliens was the
that
one
you watched when you were about 5?
Yeah, and he's like, I've got a great movie for us to watch. And my little 5-year-old mind witnessed an android being ripped in half and the rest. It was after, and I don't think I can tell you exactly what A Scanner Darkly was all about. I just remember Keanu Reeves looking at some bug-eyed creature in his bed, and Robert Downey Jr. doing his thing, and everyone was very colourful. The other one I've seen is School of Rock. I always forget that he did that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing movie. I don't know about you, that was one of the films where if one of my secondary school teachers said, hey, it's the end of the year, let's watch a movie, it would be that.
It would be that one.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
And so, School of Rock, because I know that Jack Black is very synonymous with his crude humour, but recently he's been doing a lot more family-friendly stuff. So, This was before he did the family-friendly stuff. This was one of his first, on-screen performances where it was more of a PG. I don't remember. Is there anything in there that is not suitable for kids, or is it very much like, oh, this is a family movie?
I don't think so. I think it was one of those. I mean, I teach kids up to about the age of 11, and I don't remember anything in there that would make me think, oh, this child shouldn't be watching this. I mean, I'd be happy showing it to a young child.
I remember watching it in the cinema thinking, this is very different to the brand of humor that I was used to from Jack Black, because he did all the Tenacious D stuff.
Yeah.
And I think maybe The Pick of Destiny came out not that long after or before. And I did really enjoy it. I think it was a very uplifting movie, especially the third act. I think one thing that really resonated with me was seeing that kid on the keyboard.
Yes.
And having his shining moment with his big cape and his spiky hair. That was great. I think that may be it. There must be another one that I've seen. Oh, yeah. The one he did before A Scanner Darkly. What was it called again? Waking Life. That's it. Also, didn't really know what that was about. It was about it was the same sort of movie where it was all rotoscoped and animated over shot footage.
I think all we're revealing is that I am in no way someone who should be talking about Richard Linklater films.
Okay.
As if I'm an expert. I've only seen Hitman and School of Rock, so...
Okay, I tell a lie. I did, after watching Hitman, decide to go back into his back catalogue, and I watched Bernie, which was another Jack Black movie that he did. And that was similar vein to Hitman, where it was about... it was like a true story of a man who lived a certain life. Can't really go into it much without spoiling it. It was like a dramatized version of a true event.
Okay.
It wasn't like 100% true. Because at the end of Hitman, spoiler alert, if anyone who hasn't seen Hitman, which recently, it came out last Friday, I think, on Netflix.
Yeah.
But previously,
I mean,
they had like 1 week.
I think we can do this spoiler free. That at the end, just before the credits.
Yeah.
You know, usually at the end of this is based on a true story sort of film, you have some writing come up saying this person did this afterwards, and they went to the moon. And it reveals that the events, not all of the events in the film, actually happened.
Yeah.
And it actually
specifically
says
the very last bit.
We made this bit up. Yeah.
We made this bit up. That's it.
Which I did not see coming. I did not see that ending.
Oh, really? As in what happened in the story, or
with the bag?
With the bag. Okay. Yeah. And how did you feel about that? Anyway, let's just talk about like how you feel about the movie.
I thought it was very funny.
Yeah.
Very incredibly tense in places, but for the most part, it was just a very funny, a very witty script, and lots of.
Did you find that it was kind of morally ambiguous?
It was, especially with that ending. As soon as that thing happened,
yeah,
I just thought, oh, okay, this guy is no longer the hero of the story. He's just the main character.
But was that the point of the movie?
Maybe, I guess.
Yeah,
I think they tried to make it less morally ambiguous by having, this is, I guess, a bit of a spoiler, that the guy who it happens to, he explains like, oh, he's a racist, he's a misogynist, he's abusive, and no one likes him. And it's a bit like, well, you're trying to justify
murder.
Yeah, justify what you've done. Does that let him off the hook? I guess that's for individual people to decide.
Yeah. So I
thought he was great though, the guy who played
Glenn Powell.
Oh, Glenn Powell was amazing.
Oh, are you talking about the other guy?
Yeah, I can't remember his name. I've seen him turn up in Walking Dead as well in some of the latter seasons. But he was. I thought at first he was going to be sort of cookie cutter, angry cop character, a bit boring. But then when he showed up later on, he was really funny, and he just kept me as a viewer on my toes.
His name is Austin Emilio, but he plays the character Jasper.
Yes, he's great. Glenn Powell, wow. I have a feeling, I know when you sent me a text saying there's a bit in Hitman that you will appreciate.
Yeah.
Is it
we
the
can,
bit
we
where
can talk about this. We can talk. Let's just say spoiler alert anyway, just in case. If you don't want to know, don't listen. But no, please continue.
Is it the bit where he turns up in a suit and he does the Christian Bale impression?
Yeah, the Patrick Bateman thing.
As soon as he started when he was walking outside the motel room, I thought, oh, okay, this is what he's doing here.
Did you enjoy that bit?
I did. I enjoyed the whole thing, really. I loved there was a bit of McConaughey to one of his hitmen.
Mm-hmm.
And what I liked about both of them is that it wasn't a full-on impression. It was just like, okay, a little bit of flavouring.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing McConaughey. It was just a touch of
No, there was a tad. But like the Patrick Bateman thing, he was 100% like, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It was, I mean, he was wearing the same clothes, essentially.
Yes. Yeah, and the slicked back hair and the...
Yeah. But I like it how he doesn't necessarily say it's Patrick Bateman, does he? But
no.
I was watching it with subtitles, and when it said, when he was speaking, it said in parentheses, Patrick Bateman voice. So I think
okay.
Whoever did the thing, I don't know if that was in the script or not, but yeah, I guess that's canon if it's part of the subtitles.
It's just an interesting touch where it's a film about a guy pretending to kill people impersonates a character from a movie where it's left ambiguous whether he has killed people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's a nice match.
Yeah. So someone described, I think I was watching a review saying that he does a Tilda Swinton impression at one point, and it was the British character.
Oh, with the terrible orange hair and yeah.
And I can kind of see it in a way because the intonation and the way that he's speaking sounded a bit like Tilda Swinton in a way.
Yeah, I think I've seen Tilda Swinton do so many different things though, because she's...
Is it Swinton or is it Swindon?
Swindon's
a place.
I don't think she's named after Swindon. If you take a bird's eye view of Swindon, it's actually the map is her face.
Of her face, yeah.
All the buildings are the right colour as well.
And anyone who is in her family tree who have the same name, that map also looks like them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just from different points of view.
Uh, um,
But he was great, Glenn Powell, and the little bits of there's a bit of Brad Pitt in there as well, I think
yeah.
as well. Sort of almost semi-impersonations.
It's like an actor's dream, isn't it? Having all those different characters to play.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. I guess minor spoiler, although I think if you read the synopsis, you would know that this would happen. If you don't know the synopsis, it's essentially he's undercover policeman in New Orleans, where Tommy Wiseau comes from.
Old American man.
I did not kill her. I did not. Oh, hi, Ron. And he is pretending to be different hitmen in order to sort of catch people. I mean, there's a whole thing about is this entrapment or not, and he has to sort of toe a line to make sure that when these people get arrested for paying him, they think that they're paying him to go and kill someone.
Yeah.
But he's just getting them to admit on camera or on microphone. He has to be very careful. He has to get them to say the words. Like he's like, "Do you want me to kill this person?" And they're like, "Yeah, kill her." Ah.
And then they get arrested.
Yeah. I love that. I love the first arrest where the guy walks out and immediately gets arrested. And you can see Glenn Powell's character going back to Gary, going back to plain old Gary Johnson, and he puts his glasses on. And he's just sort of stood there, like sort of satisfied.
Yeah, and his whole demeanor changes and goes back. He reverts back to his teacher self, right?
Yeah, and he's almost like looking proudly at a student, and then it's almost like he suddenly realizes, oh, he can see me.
Yeah,
just runs off around the corner.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was great. But in terms of like the morals of the story, a little hazy. I personally
really
thought
hazy.
Yeah.
Well, that's the bit I was about to talk about. Isn't technically what he does, where he gets together with this woman who was going to hire him for a hit, but he persuades her not to, and then they get together later. I think it is a crime to pretend to be someone that you're not, and then use that to sleep with them.
Yeah. It's a grey area. I don't know the full details, but if I were going on instinct, I would say yes, it is wrong to do that.
Sorry, mate, I've got a fly around here, and I realised in our previous episode there was another fly, which really it threw me when I was listening back to it.
But if you listen back to it, you do say in post-production we're going to amp that up.
Okay.
And truth be told, actually, no, you know what? I'm going to leave it up in the air. Was it a real fly or was it not a real fly? Who will ever know?
I mean, it was a real fly at the time. I don't know if you amped it up or not. I mean, I guess we can leave our third co-host in the room then, I guess.
Yes. Okay. He might even
come up with him.
This is a note for me later on when I'm editing.
He might even play a trumpet.
He might. Oh, you've just given me more work to do now. I would say it was. Oh, we've got a rating system now, haven't we? So it's a chatting out of pitches or chatting. So I would say it's a chatting pitch without an H.
Oh, you would say it's a chatting Pitka.
C, yeah.
I would say
I would take the H out for the morally ambiguous factor. It's like I wasn't really sure whose side I was supposed to be on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just mine. What about you?
I would give it a chatting pit.
Okay.
As in a really solid movie, really funny. Is it perfection? No, but then I think it's going to be very rare that I give a film a chatting pitch.
Yeah. Other than The Prestige.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course.
The Prestige and American Psycho are your favourite movies?
I don't know. American Psycho's, it's not like in the top 10 or anything. It's pretty good. It's a damn good
top 10. I thought it was in your top 10.
I mean, it was very funny, very darkly funny. And there are bits in there where it's like, okay, this is my sort of humour. Like sort of a bit more understated.
What about Brad Astra? Where is that?
Oh, I really like Sad Brad. I'm never sure where to land on the Space Monkeys.
Okay.
Sometimes I watch it and I think, oh, that was just put in there to break the slower parts up. Okay, let's have a bit of fast-paced action, and other times I watch it and I think, No, this is fine. This fits right in with.
Yeah. Who directed that? I don't remember.
Oh, I can't remember. I'm gonna look it up.
I'm gonna look it up. I'll race you. I'm gonna look it up.
Well, I've just looked up Google on Bing, so thank you, Bing.
I'm looking up. Okay, Ad Astra was directed by James Gray. Who's that? I actually don't know. Well, he's done Lost City of Z or Z, depending on which country you're from, and others. But anyway, moving swiftly on. That's the Fly director.
Yeah.
Moving on, we watched another movie, Furiosa, the Mad Max saga.
Speaking of rarely giving a chatting pitch rating to a film, this one, oh my days, blew my socks off. I would give that a chatting pitch.
Really?
All the live long day. Yes.
Would you say it was better? It's hard to compare. Oh, sorry, I mean, it's easy to compare. That's the complete opposite of what I meant to say. It's easy to compare that movie to Fury
I love
Road.
you. Oh, well, no, wait. I
hate you.
I was so close. You get what I mean.
A little Freudian slip there. So it's really easy to compare it to Fury Road because aesthetically it's very, very similar. I mean, it's basically a prequel.
Yes.
My interpretation, at least from what I've read, is that every Mad Max movie is a different kind of campfire story in many ways.
Yeah.
Where nothing is 100% consistent, although this apparently is the first one where he's reused some of the characters which looked identical to a previous version, whereas almost every installment, and I'm a bit hazy on the older installments, like Mad Max 1, 2, and 3.
Sure.
Into the Thunderdome. But with Fury Road, there are characters that are lifted straight from there, and they look exactly the same.
Yeah. You've got your Immortan Joes and your Rictus Erectus and
Anus. What was the other guy's name?
Rectus.
Scrotus. That's it. There is no anus, is there?
No, unfortunately not.
Although there is a part where someone does say anus. I think someone said, they're a bunch of anuses or something like that. It was the guy with the bullet hair, Bullet Man. You know what the guy I mean? Yeah.
Yes, the Bullet Farmer.
Bullet Farmer guy, yeah. He says, there are a bunch of anuses, I remember.
And then Immortan Joe's in the background going, oh, that's a good name. Add that to the list if any of my children survive.
So you really liked it, but how would you compare it to the other one, if you had to?
See, this is where the mathematics of our rating system don't really follow the laws of physics or mathematics or anything. I said in my review that I think it's almost... It's not wrong to compare the two, and I do think Fury Road, for me, is slightly better, but
yep.
I think the two are so close in quality, and I think saying it's not as good as Fury Road sounds like you're putting it down,
but you're not.
It really isn't. It really, no. yeah. you can be worse than Fury Road and still be excellent.
There are movies that come in, sets of 2 or 3, where you're always going to have a particular one that you're more fond of,
right?
Like, for instance, you really liked Back to the Future 3 compared to the rest of them. You would arguably say that might have been your favorite one, right?
Oh, I'm not sure about
1 or 3.
One. I think I like it more than you. I think you've talked about. You said it was flaming hot trash. You said he's lost it. I hate Michael J. Fox. And other such things. It's all in previous episodes. You can check them out on Spotify and wherever you get.
You can quote Matt on that. But with that being said, I just think that you having a favorite doesn't necessarily mean it's better, right? So,
no, I would say my example would be the Chris Nolan Batman trilogy. I really like Batman Begins, and me personally, I think that is in ways better than the other two.
Okay.
In certain aspects of it. But like you say, that doesn't necessarily mean it's better. And I think the difference in quality is so small. I mean, we're nitpicking here, and I think it's the same with Furiosa and Fury Road. I mean, I liked that Fury Road was just this constant, or almost constant car chase with only small breaks, and I liked that structure. The fact that Furiosa had a different structure doesn't mean it wasn't an excellent film.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say that there was any moments where I found myself bored or anything like that. It was very, very... there was a lot of more world building in this one than I was expecting. And I think it was easy for me to compare it from Mad Max Fury Road because I was used to it being just one big long car chase, right? And my expectations were that it was going to be more of the same, but there was a lot more character development, which I quite liked. But I did find there was a moment towards the end that kind of dragged a little bit for me, and I feel like maybe the movie could have been just a tad shorter. I think 2.5 hours seems to be like the new norm. 2.5 hours to 3 hours for these epic movies. But where do you stand on that? Do you think it was too long, or do you think it was perfect amount of time?
Interesting. I thought that the way the narrative is that people don't go into cinemas anymore.
Yeah.
So I thought that it would have gone the other way, that directors and writers and producers would make their films a bit shorter. The common story is that our attention spans are reducing, which I don't know if that's really true, but it does seem to be going the other way, which is more bang for your buck. You come and see a movie where you're getting 2.5 hours, you're getting 3 hours worth of entertainment. It's hard for me to say that because I am such a believer in going to see the movie. I thought it was a shame that I couldn't see Hitman on the big screen. You know, I watched it on Netflix and it was fine enough, but some of the photography in Hitman, I did occasionally sit there thinking, like, man, I wish I could see that on the big screen.
Yeah,
it looks good here.
The thing is, when I knew that it was going to be coming onto Netflix, that made me want to wait. Unfortunately, that made me want to wait for it to be on Netflix because cinema tickets aren't cheap anymore these days, especially depending on where you live anyway. But for me, a cinema ticket is between £13 to £15 now.
See, it's interesting because around where I live, it's dropped right down. I can get in for £5. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
it
fantastic.
also depends. I do have some perks with my mobile contract, and this isn't an ad or anything, but there is a deal where I can go for a cinema ticket.
Here we go. He's going to Ryan Reynolds it up. Okay, go on.
On Mint Mobile.
If I bring in a bottle of gin, I get a free popcorn.
No, there are deals out there, but I personally do subscribe to a particular cinema, and I pay monthly, and that means I can watch as many movies as I possibly can. However, my other half does not. So whenever we go watch it, it'll be like, I can watch it for free, technically. Well, not really, but she has to pay full price. And that kind of takes the fun away of it a little bit when she has to pay more than I do. But then I just say, look, just subscribe like me.
We'll get you a child's ticket. It's fine.
Or we just watch it when it comes on Netflix when I'm already paying for that every month, you know?
Yeah.
So neither here or there. But I liked the movie.
Yeah. We get into another realm here, which we could talk about forever.
No, Furiosa. I really enjoyed the action scenes. I thought they were great. I enjoyed the world building. I was really invested with the backstory of Furiosa and how she became to be who she was. Didn't really care that much about how she lost her arm. It just happened, you know.
Okay.
But it was more kind of like I really liked putting the puzzle pieces together and like where she came from.
Yeah.
Did you find, by the way, I'm going off on a little bit tangent here, young Furiosa, and I don't think this is a spoiler at all, but like young Furiosa, did you feel like her face was slightly augmented to look a little bit more like Anya Taylor-Joy? Because when I was watching it with a mate of mine, we were just thinking like, she looks strange. Why does she look slightly like Anya Taylor-Joy, but she also doesn't?
That's because you missed the bit that said, "Put your 3D glasses on now." I have heard.
And then she points at the screen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you, Molten Joe or Dementus. Yeah.
Dementus' nose comes at you.
Welcome to Smell-O-Vision. And they just... I know, that's my impression of his funny Aussie
Molten
voice.
Joe, put on your 3D glasses now. I don't know why I'm turning him into a Looney Tunes character. Hello. Welcome to the wasteland. Come on
Which
in.
character
come on
is
in.
that? Is that
That's Anus.
okay.
And I suppose if he's called Immortan Joe,
Yeah.
all of their second names are Joe. So you've got Scrotus Joe,
Scrotus Joe.
Rictus Erectus.
Joe,
He's the only one with a middle name. Rictus Erectus Joe.
Anus Joe.
I'm Anus Joe. My dad doesn't like to talk about me. He just tells me to hang out around the back.
So this is a chatting pitch for you then.
You better believe it, buddy.
So this guy clearly has to be in our next section, which is when we pitch the movie that we want to talk about. But yeah, anyway, I think it was also a chatting pitsy. I think I wouldn't give it a full chatting pitch. I think personally, I think some of the runtime could have been shaved off. But at the same time, I don't really know. There are certain times where I feel like there may have been a little bit of studio interference.
Okay.
Because I think maybe Furiosa could have worked without. Okay, and this might be getting into a little bit of spoiler territory here, but this character is in the trailers. But there was a character in there who is played by, I don't know his name. I'm gonna look it up.
I have a feeling. Are you talking about Praetorian Jack?
Is that his name?
The one who helps her.
Pterodactyl Jack.
Pterodactyl.
Yeah, I'm guessing so. Yeah.
I love you, Pterodactyl Jack.
Yeah, that's exactly the person.
Oh, Pterodactyl Jack. You and Anus make quite a team.
The actor's name is Tom Burke. Yeah, Praetorian Jack. I couldn't help but notice that he was Mad Max except without the Mad Max name.
Do you think that?
Yeah, because it was like almost wearing very similar clothes. He had similar demeanor. He was doing almost the same thing as Furiosa driving the big truck, you know? And I don't know, it felt like maybe, unless George Miller, the mastermind George Miller, as they say in the trailers, if
this is one of the few times where if a trailer says "From the Twisted Mind," I don't mind. I don't really care too much.
From the beautiful mind of Zack Snyder. Yeah, so I think
from the sexy mind of Richard Linklater.
So I don't know. I felt like
from the backwards mind of Anus Joe.
I feel like aesthetically and also demeanor-wise, he really reminded me of Mad Max as a character.
Okay,
just without the Mad Max name.
Okay,
and like maybe a few tweaks here and there, but. Did you feel that at all, or was it just me?
I mean, I would agree that there are similarities. I don't think I watched the film thinking that.
Where's Max? Where's Max?
Why do they keep calling him Pterodactyl Jack? He's clearly Max.
Pterodactyl Max.
Maybe he's undercover. Maybe this is how me and Leslie produce our pitch section where we cross the movies over. What do you think, Pterodactyl Jack? Tell us, listeners, was that augmented or was that natural Pterodactyl Jack?
This is a buddy cop film, right? With whoever your character is.
It's Pterodactyl Jack and Anus Joe and Furiosa. They're solving crimes across the wasteland.
Yeah. So, okay, before we go any further, let's just say that's going to be the basis of our next.
Okay.
Well, we also have to have like Hitman in there. Oh, sorry. Anyway, I'm running before I walk here, but essentially, we both like the movies. We both
Yeah.
had some opinions. Well, let's cue the jingle for the next section. Bada bing, bada boom. Now we have to pitch our own movie, and Matt came up with an idea of mashing the two together. So clearly, we're going to get headhunted by Hollywood soon, because clearly they're running out of ideas.
Boy, I'm amazed that it hasn't happened already.
Yeah.
Bidding war, anyone over this one?
I got a text from Jerry Bruckheimer the other day
Leave me alone.
saying you have missold PPI, and you can claim back thousands and thousands of pounds of cash back.
See, that's funny because Joel Silver is just all about those offers from O2.
Yeah. There's a very British joke for anyone who isn't from Britain, but we tend to get these cold calling texts that try to scam us. And recently I've been getting quite a lot of them from Boots, from Screwfix, and these are emails, really. You get spam all the time, but there's like, claim your prize now. And I don't want to. So I hit the block button. Anyway, we are going to pitch a mashup. This is Matt's idea. He said, why don't we mash up Hitman and Furiosa? So what's the movie called? Or should we come up with that at the end?
We can come up with that. We can come up with that now. So we've got Hitman.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Furiosa. We've also got Mad Max.
And we also got Saga.
We just call it Madman.
Madman,
a Pterodactyl Jack.
A Pterodactyl Jack Saga, yeah. What's the story here?
So I guess after they've stopped all the people mis-selling PPI and Boots vouchers, Pterodactyl Jack, Furiosa, and their occasional, maybe Anus Jack isn't with them.
Okay.
But he's sort of the guy that in those sorts of shows where the detective always has like a friend or a confidant that they'll always go to information for.
Yeah.
They can be like, oh yeah, like I know a guy who can just help us fill in these blanks.
Uh-huh.
And they go down to Anus Joe's workshop.
And
and they're like, hey, Anus Joe, how are things hanging? And he's like, boy, I tell you, I'm not getting a lot of business around these parts.
Does he have one of those old-timey offices, like from a neo-noir detective, where
I'm thinking either one of those,
a glass door, and it's like A.Jack, and I was like, hey, what does the A stand for?
Oh no, it's Joe. It's Joe.
Oh no,
I'm getting
Joe,
mixed up with Jack and Joe. Yeah.
Sorry, who's Joe now?
There's Anus Joe and Pterodactyl Jack.
So it's A.Joe.
Yeah.
And there's like, hey, what does the A stand for? He's like, if I get a nickel every time I get that question asked.
It's anus, by the way.
It stands for anus.
So don't ask me again, because I can't be doing with all these nickels. And he opens the cupboard and there's loads of nickels. See, they're everywhere. Boy, I tell you, if I had a nickel for every nickel I had.
Sorry, can you remind me who's walking into Anus Jack's office again, or his workshop?
We're thinking that Anus Joe, I don't think
Anus Joe. I keep saying Anus Jack.
I don't think Anus Joe is a detective. I think he's someone that has he maybe runs a cafe.
Yeah.
But he's like a former detective.
Okay.
Ex-spy for Immortan Joe, but now he's got his own hustle.
Uh-huh.
Furiosa and Pterodactyl Jack, from their respective seats in the car and in the sky, solve crimes from the wasteland. Oftentimes it would be Pterodactyl Jack that sees the crime happening first because he's very high up. He can see things. Yeah. Ah!
Where does the hitman aspect come into?
I guess he could be the person that they're on the trail of.
Okay.
Because I think in Hitman, part of the tension... Go on.
Anus Joe is the hitman, or not?
No, I think Anus Joe is just the character that pops up for 5 minutes every episode.
Okay.
To help them out. And
then who is the hitman character, if there is one?
So are we not going... I would just take Glenn Powell and just give him like a Mad Max makeover.
Also, Matt. So
Give him the old
Okay.
Triple M. Fit him up
You know
with some
how-
leather strapping, or
you know how Hitman,
Yeah.
quite often throughout the movie, it cuts to him playing different characters.
right.
Well, this is the whole movie of just that one character, and he's
Yeah.
playing a Mad Max character.
Yeah. Or he could
Okay.
swap. He could be different Mad Max characters.
Okay.
But instead of like Ron
Yep.
or whatever other names he comes up with, he would just be like Ballus Bigus or something like that. That sounds more like a Monty Python thing.
They all have funny names in that, don't they? In the
Yeah.
movie.
This is Dementodon, and it's just Glenn Powell with like a slightly longer wig,
Like a witch nose.
like big buck teeth.
Yeah. You can see the prosthetics like falling off a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
You can see that he's bought it from the dollar store.
Yeah,
Or what do we have in the UK? Smithies. It's one of those Smithies
yeah.
joke store noses with a little mustache.
Whatever the Australian equivalent is, they're still open. They're in the wasteland.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe it could be the size of the Bullet Farm, but it's just for costumes and wigs for Glenn Powell.
Okay.
And he's the only one keeping them in business. But because he's always wearing a wig or a costume, they think that they're getting lots of different customers.
Right.
So they're like, why advertise? We're getting
He
loads
just keeps
of people
coming
in.
back. It's like,
just the same guy.
I'm not that same guy. I definitely haven't been here before.
Hey, you got any wigs? I need some wigs.
And then he comes back 10 minutes later. Hello there. Do you have any wigs? And then, so I guess that's the movie. He just keeps coming. And it ends with the blurb that says, unfortunately, Smithies, a.k.a. the Bullet Farm,
That's the
have run
first
out of
thing that
business.
comes up, unfortunately. And then that fades away, and then the next one that comes up is, unfortunately, Anus Joe still keeps receiving nickels from the government.
Yeah.
He still doesn't know what to do with them.
Glenn Powell's still at large.
Whereas then when they're going around Anus Joe's cafe, he's just like, I bought these to keep cake in, but look, and he just takes the lid off and just nickels spill out, like on those cake trays when you go into a cafe. You think,
Yeah.
oh, that bit of chocolate cake's nice. It's just nickels.
Yeah.
Here, look at this one, just nickels. Check out what's behind this door. It's a fridge, cold nickels.
And like the one
They're everywhere, and I just don't know what to do with them.
in the freezer, it's just one big block of frozen nickels.
I gotta get them out, or the wife's gonna leave me.
Yeah, I want an
Hanging
Anus,
by a thread.
I want an Anus Joe movie. I don't care about Glenn Powell's storyline anymore. I just want his backstory.
Well, that's the beauty, that we leave people wanting more, because he only turns up for 5 minutes, but in that 5-minute segment, you just get a little taste. You get a little taste of like what his life is like now, how the story of the nickels has advanced.
Yeah.
At first, it's just like, I've been receiving these nickels in the post. Have you been getting these? And then it ends up with him just surrounded by nickels everywhere.
You know how Mad Max Fury Road, they always say, oh, it's not really about Mad Max, it's more about Furiosa, because it's really her story. Well, this one, it's really Anus Joe's story, right? Everything else is, by the by.
So this is, the title should really be Anus Joe, a Furiosa saga, is what you're saying.
That'll be the next one. That'll be the prequel.
So what is the story here? Is
There is no story.
Is Glenn Powell's character, is he fully fledged hitman now?
He's fully fledged hitman, but he's in the Mad Max realm. He's going to this bullet farm / joke store, and he's the only one that's keeping him business.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Anus Joe's here is collecting nickels. Is Furiosa part of this? She's not part of this, is she?
She's Pterodactyl Jack's partner. They're the ones solving the crime.
Okay. So
I think you're putting too much...
There's three storylines going on at the same time.
Yeah, you're
right?
putting too much onus on the anus.
I felt like that joke was tailored for me to make.
Is it heinous?
It made me giggle
Yeah?
a lot. Thank you. Yeah.
Just for you. So when Immortan Joe puts together his little... what do they call it? Like a what is it? Like a war meeting or something?
Okay. A little...
Where when he wants to meet up with the Bullet Farm guy.
Yeah.
And the oil man, who's not Daniel Day-Lewis.
The confrontation. Who's Daniel Day-Lewis?
He could be the oil man.
Daniel Day-Lewis is the oil man.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a twist.
I'm so confused. I don't
We
know.
don't need a twist, but there's a twist.
Okay, so Furiosa and Pterodactyl Jack is off
Yep.
on their own side quest.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Anus Joe, he is collecting nickels.
Yeah.
But every time
He doesn't want to.
He doesn't want to, but every time
Yeah.
he gets asked what the A stands for,
Yeah. He gets sent a load of nickels.
the rest writes itself. And then,
The problem is his cafe is really successful. It's his customers that are asking him.
okay,
So he's in two minds because he's thinking, I gotta get rid of these nickels. But at the same time, he's thinking, well, if I get rid of customers, I'm not going to make any money. And he's getting hit on two fronts. He's losing profit from the cafe and the government bonds that he's receiving.
Glenn Powell is in this movie playing different Mad Max characters. He's going to the joke shop to get his costumes.
Yeah.
Where's he getting the money from? Who has a lot of nickels?
He's siphoning off nickels.
Yeah. That's where we get to tie these together.
And every time Immortan Joe calls one of his war meetings, I do the bullet man. I do the, what do they call it? They don't call it gasoline. They call it gasoline.
Gasoline, yeah.
I do the gasoline man, and I need the wig man. And they all turn out, and whenever, oh no, why was Anus Joe leave for that? And I need my son, Anus Joe.
I like how you're trying to make this make sense.
I need Anus Joe back here.
Yeah.
And every time Anus Joe returns from his cafe, it's magical. All the nickels are gone, and he's relieved. So he doesn't follow up on who's stealing his nickels.
Okay.
So Glenn Powell's character, whatever he wants to call himself, different name every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
He knows that he's got just a free and open source of money.
Does Furiosa and Pterodactyl Jack come back at any point, or are they just out of the picture?
Yeah, they are the main characters.
They're the main.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we haven't really spoken about that storyline at all.
Well, that's why I'm trying to discover what crime is Glenn Powell actually committing. Why are Pterodactyl Jack and Furiosa after him?
Oh, that's a pickle.
Is it that, spoiler alert for Hitman, but is it that after what happens at the end of Hitman, does he go on a bit of a spree? Because actually his character does talk about, is murder a good thing? So he has that scene with his class, do you remember? Where they're outdoors, and it's quite an interesting scene, and he talks about, he splits his class into two groups. And he says, you guys are going to represent a modern jury, and they're clearly halfway through a class, but he says, you know, what would you decide, the modern day jury? And they say, oh, we'd send this person away for life without parole. And then they talk about that for a bit. And then he says, well, you guys over here, you are representing like Neolithic humanity. And I think that his character in Hitman is someone that if you transported him to the wasteland, he would adapt very quickly.
Okay.
I think he'd be more than happy to be thinking, oh, okay, murder's pretty much okay here, as long as you don't kill the wrong person. Yeah. I guess I'll do that for money, because it's hard transferring all these nickels at the bank every weekend.
That's why Furiosa and Pterodactyl Jack are after him?
He's on a murder spree. They're after him.
Anus Joe is not...
Is your favourite character.
No, he's my favourite character thus far, but also, is he being hunted down by Furiosa, or is he like the middleman to get to...
No, I think he's their buddy, their old buddy.
Okay.
Maybe Furiosa, back when she was Immortan Joe's, number one go-to person. Maybe, she hated Immortan Joe. She hated Rictus Erectus. She hated Scrotus. Yeah. But maybe Anus Joe was all right.
Maybe it's about the friends that we made along the way.
Maybe the anus was inside of us all along.
All along. And that's the blurb at the end.
So you have the bit about Smithies.
Unfortunately, Smithies has
you have the bit about the nickels, and then you just have the message of, oh, by the way, if you didn't get it, the anus was inside of us all along.
Roll credits.
And then bow.
And then it's just like a highlight reel of both movies. Like,
directed by the sexy Richard Linklater and the twisted George Miller.
Okay, I think we got ourselves a movie here. What's the movie called? What did we say it was called?
Did we go with
Pterodactyl Jack? No, was that Anus Joe? I don't remember what the name was now. It was like 20 minutes.
It depends
ago.
if we go with the Furiosa type setup.
Yep.
As in name, a something saga, or if we just go something different.
Yeah.
Because I quite like Pterodactyl Jack Mysteries.
The Pterodactyl Jack
The
Mysteries.
Furiosa and Pterodactyl Jack Mysteries.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a mouthful, I'll admit.
Part 1.
But it tells you what you get. Part 1, Redux.
Ultimate Edition, yeah.
Black and white.
Widescreen. So
Black and white Chrome 3D.
Black and white Chrome 720p. So great. I think we did it.
I think we've got a pretty good pitch there. I can't wait for the calls from Glenn Powell and Richard Linklater and George Miller telling us that their lawyers are going to hunt us down.
I think we end it there. Oh, wait a second. I just got text.
Paul.
You have 10 chances to win. It's him!
John Stipson, go back to you!
Chatting Pitch has been brought to you by Leslie Way and Matthew D. Smith. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to listen to others and maybe even subscribe. You can follow us on the website, formerly known as Twitter.
Listen to us on Spotify or wherever else you listen to podcasts. Leslie and Matthew have their own side hustles as well. Feel free to check out Leslie's YouTube channel or Matthew's Medium blog. Links in the description. If you want anything else, we might have other links in the description if we think of anything interesting to add. Thank you for listening. I love you.